Yo, what's good? Minasan konnichiwa. Last time I spoke about what was going good in my Japanese studies, and now I want to chat about things that are flopping or things that just ain't going right, and what am I going to do to rectify them in the future. So as I mentioned before, Glossika is the main resource I use, and I'm like 80,000 sentences in now, and you know, I thought I can just go through everything, like up until the C1 level in Glossika, just on sheer determination, just brute force, just be a stoic, innit? But I'm getting bored, you know. I'm getting bored, yeah, and the discipline is starting to wean off. And specifically, okay, so being bored in itself is one issue, but also there's sometimes where I get like review avalanches, and what I mean by that is I might do like 5% worth of cards, and then the next day 5%, and then like on the fourth day it might lead to the review section being like 1,000, like 800 or 700 kind of like amount of cards that I need to review, and I look at it, I'm just like, oh, that's long. And then I see it less so as an exercise of language, and more so just I need to get through this avalanche, and in doing that I've been taking my eye off the ball when it comes to a lot of these sentences. So instead of sentence minding, I'll just listen, you know what I mean? And sometimes instead of listening, I would just end up trying to hear for words that I don't understand, or hear for little syntaxes that just confuse me, as opposed to actually engage with the sentence. Like one thing that actually worked, particularly as I got into the high A2 levels, was anytime I saw sentences that were back to back in the new section or even review section that had no relation to each other, I would try to connect them, try to create little stories. So like, I don't know, like the man went to the shop, and then the next one is I'm hungry, so I went to the shop, connected like that. I stopped when the amount of cards that came up just was piling up. I was like, oh, this is long. But again, man, just boredom in of itself, man, is hard, man. Being stoic and only just a stoic when it comes to just revising, studying, or whatever you want to call it, is not necessarily enough. You know, added to that, yeah. Oh, flip's sake, the train's getting loud. Yeah. Anyways, added to that is I didn't know what constituted as a good percentage threshold, or like a good amount of cards that I should study in one day, or at least new cards I should study in one day, because I ain't got any agency over the reviews. It just comes, innit? So I would sometimes do 2%, sometimes do 5%, sometimes do 10%, and I didn't know like what to knuckle down on. I kind of feel now as if I've got a good percentage, which is 5%, or I should say 200 new cards. But yeah, like I didn't do that, and so I was a bit all over the place in terms of the numbers. I was a bit all over the place in terms of like a statistical strategy, going from, you know, 0 cards to 80,000 cards. It was just like the default behavior I had whenever I had time, or I just wanted to do Glossika, but I didn't know what number to knuckle down on. That was the thing that I kind of feel as if now going forward I'm going to start doing. I'm going to say 5% from now, or 200 cards. Another thing that I said that was good was I started watching Japanese dramas, and I started picking up all these little nuanced little things, and a lot of things that you can't find in textbooks and Glossika or anything, like real life convo, innit? But one thing that I did do, and this kind of adds to I kind of feel as if this is connected to the boredom that I felt just doing Glossika, was I allowed myself just to be a bit lazy just by watching dramas. You know, I started to watch lazily as opposed to try to understand what was going on sometimes, or at least in terms of the language itself. I allow laziness to get to me, and so instead of waking up in the morning and do like a little routine of doing my Glossika or whatever, I would just watch dramas sometimes. Or when I finish a review, I just watch dramas, and I'll just sit back. And it was a time where I was watching an episode of a drama every single morning before work. And looking back at it, the rate of return, it wasn't great. It wasn't much. You know, I've reduced it now, and now I kind of feel as if, actually, in fact, I haven't seen a drama in the last week or so. But the whole point is that I got lazy watching dramas. I use it as an escapism from studying. So again, I don't know what it looks like going forward, in terms of like what dramas would like how it would constitute as a part of my studying. It definitely will constitute as a part of my studying, probably one time a week or something like that. But I need to stop lying to myself when I say I'm learning when I'm looking at this, I'm learning when I'm watching this. I wasn't, you know what I mean? Well, I was, but not as much as I knew I wasn't. Well, That don't make sense. I knew I was learning, but it wasn't as, I knew that I wasn't learning as much as I thought I was when I was watching him consistently. So that's gonna change as well. Another thing is, you know, pat on my back. I done language exchanges early. I tried to connect to people early, but the issue I had with when it came to language exchanges was I ended up being, and this is less so thing that I did bad, and more so just the thing that I realized that was just not going well was when I was connecting with people to study Japanese, I ended up being an engine of the conversation all the time. And you know, bro, like firstly, my language is low, yeah, for me to be the engine of the conversation. And secondly, it's tiring. It's tiring always being the engine of the conversation when you're chatting to someone. And I'm not talking about like the meaning of life. I'm not talking about any mad philosophical stuff. I'm just doing normal everyday conversation, trying to get clues and sentences. It's like, oh, so what happened there? What happened there? Oh, really? You went here? Oh, swear down, is it? Yeah. Like trying to be a good conversationalist, yeah. But it's always a one-way thing. It's not going back and forth. It's not binary. It's I don't know, man. And I found that when I connected with a few teachers, I just felt, man, like it was tiring exercise, and I wasn't even getting that much Japanese study, to be honest with you. You know, again, it's good that I've done it, but it's hard just being an engine all the time. Like it's just hard at this early stage of like relatively non-abstract conversation. So that was one thing that kind of annoyed me, man. But I mean, it is what it is, isn't it? Also, recently in the last 2 weeks, I've been learning hiragana and katakana, and I said to myself previously, I'm not going to learn it until I reach a certain threshold at least until I reach a level where I can speak to people. I'm going to delay writing as much as possible. But again, it's only been the last 2 weeks that I've tried to start learning it, but I've done it in a very on and off way, as opposed to actually building up a routine, as opposed to actually saying, you know, this is how it's going to look like. I just downloaded the Busu app, and I started learning the script, and it's good so far, so good, but I haven't committed to it. So again, that's something I'm going to commit to. Again, that's not to be confused with, oh, I wish I should have learned the script. No, I'm just saying that in the last 2 weeks, my behavior around it hasn't been committed, hasn't been from discipline. It's just been on and off and here and there. And sometimes I even forget, you know, I got so used to not learning the script, like I sometimes forget, oh snap, I need to do the script. In terms of looking forward, one of the things that I want to do is combine Glossika and Genki, the textbook, Genki 2. I wanted to specifically, you know, reach a certain level in Glossika where I kind of feel as if the transition to Genki 2, as well as me learning hiragana, that's another thing that I want to do, hiragana katakana, can give me some kind of seamless friction frictionless transition into Genki 2. Another big thing, and for me, it's probably the biggest thing, is I want to be able to flip's sake, this train. Yeah. Anyways, once this lockdown is finished, or like once, you know, coronavirus measures and whatever have it's eased up a bit, I want to be social with the language. You know, I live in London. Yeah, there's obviously going to be language meetups. I've been to language meetups before, and so if I can meet up with Japanese people, if I can meet up with other people and learn Japanese, that's on the to-do list, 100%. You know, I don't want to live in this bubble. You know, I don't want to live in this linguistic bubble where I'm just learning a language in isolation. And yeah, it's good to chat to people online, and that's another thing I'm going to do. I'm trying to connect to more people online. You know, ironically, in the last few months, I've been able to connect with Taiwanese people without even trying that much. Random people have just reached out to me saying, hey, do you want to just have like a Skype session? Then it has been with Japanese. So I need to be social with this language. It needs to have social relevance to me, man. So yeah, that's it. You know, 3 to 4 months from now, I want to be able to finish Glossika by doing my 5% rate of new sentences. Would like to have been be able to read and write hiragana and katakana. Kanji can wait, and I want to be able to either be in the groove of doing Genki 2, or, you know, optimistically have finished it by then, of just reading the dialogues and reading the sentences. I don't really care about the exercise in the book, that's long. And also be social with the, I was about to say social with the sentences, social with the actual language itself, and try to meet people if possible. And you know, so they're actually I'll be taking forward, but you know, from a value standpoint, the kind of looking at myself in the mirror, having that discussion about how I've been as a person relative to in regards to my language whole endeavors, is that I could have been more disciplined. I could have been more in the moment when I was studying. It's okay to be bored. It's okay to just be tired and just be like, you know what, I can't bother to do this today, innit? Yeah. That's fine. I remember there was a time where I had like a lot of class review, but then I wanted to go football. I picked football. It happens. That's fine. But I could have done more. I could have done more just to keep my eye on the ball a bit, and I'm gonna be cognizant of that going forward. And again, that's not to be misconstrued with this whole myth of being a perfectionist. Like, what's your worst trait? I'm a perfectionist. I want everything to be perfect. Shut up, man. Like, I hate that stuff. Yeah, but I mean, I sincerely do believe that I could have done a bit more. But that's not to misconstrue with a point of saying, by now I should have been fluent. Nah, man. It's cool. It was cool. I've been doing a lot of reflecting, you know what I mean? And not only just languages, but just in terms of work and other things in life. And I just came to that point where, I want to be excellent, you know what I mean? I want to continue, I'll flip state straight. Yeah. But, as you know, other things in my life, yeah, are going to grow in terms of demand for time. So, I don't know how I'm going to balance that with languages. I don't know how I'm going to balance that with work life going back to normal, having to go back to the office and changing my time schedules and whatnot as a result. I don't know, but I'm going to be cognizant of that going forward. I don't want to overwhelm myself. So yeah, I'm going to look back at this video 3 to 4 months from now and see how much I've actually taken from this, how much I've actually stuck to my word. I have confidence in myself. I reckon I'm going to do it. So yeah. ありがとうございました。